Hi everyone, my name's Jack. Welcome back to the Red Path. Today I'm going to take a quick look at the Lord Invocatus leaked datasheet that has been doing the rounds on various discords, the internet in general. Yeah. And welcome back to the video. So obviously if you're in our Discord, you will have seen this leaked datasheet because there has been a fair amount of discussion about it, about different aspects of it. We did discuss it a little bit during the Khorne quiz the other day. Not the most coherent discussion, so I'm just gonna put some more codified thoughts down. I think into a video. So obviously, as I mentioned, if you're not in our Discord, join our Discord. We do get leaks about World Eaters in our Discord. So if you're keen to be ahead of Warcom, then join our community. It is a good one. So without further ado, I will just get straight into the data sheet. So this is what we have. It's quite good quality in terms of as photos go. Obviously, this is still unconfirmed, so grain of salt, might be fake. Chances are it's not. I think there is a high degree of confidence in this. So yeah. So let's start with his stats, I guess, at the top. So move 12 is really good, obviously really fast, and the fly keyword at the bottom means he's not going to have any trouble getting across the battlefield. It's quite interesting given that the Chaos Demons Juggernauts units are only move 10, so move 12 is pretty good. I'm sure there's fluff reasons for that, because Invocatus is the guy who like rides across the sky on like trails of fire or something. 2 up, weapon skill, ballistic skill, kind of to be expected. It's Chaos Lord, right? So strength 6, again, probably to be expected from Warlord's character. Khorne at the moment is strength 6, and the assumption is he's going to at least stay strength 6 going into the new book. T6 is quite interesting. I would perhaps have expected T5, so like a Marine on a bike, or Marine cavalry basically, tend to be T5. So T6 is quite interesting and quite a nice breakpoint, I think. Stuff like heavy bolters wounding on 5s is nice, and like power swords wounding on 5s as well is pretty nice. So then 8 wounds, it's probably about right for a cavalry character, especially a named cavalry character, because I know like the Primaris chaplain on bike has like 7 wounds. Khorne is currently 6, I think, so a named character and on a mount generally gets extra wounds, so 8 wounds is probably about right. Still, obviously can still be lookout surd because he's below the threshold, which is good. 7 attacks, again, probably pretty bang on, I think. With the Rumoured Legion trait of +1 strength, +1 attack on the charge, this means he'll go to 8 attacks at strength 7, which is pretty good. And obviously he's got his Juggernaut as well, which I'll get to in a sec. Leadership 9 is a little bit sad, just because Legionaries are Leadership 9 at the moment, so it would have been nice to have a named character be Leadership 10. At least, but it doesn't come up that much, and it only really matters for stuff like Drukhari, Tormentor, the last thing, the Tormentor rods, are they called? I think, where you just and stuff like dread tests, so for Chaos Knights. And then a 2-up save, which again a bit unexpected, but I'm not complaining. 2-up save is always nice, especially in combination with the 4-up invuln that he also has as a Chaos Lord. I'm assuming it's because Juggernauts are tough or something, and we can't really compare with Chaos Demons because they have Demon Saves rather than armor and invulns. So then onto the weapons. Bolt pistol grenades, fine, fairly standard. Coward's Bane, to start with, fucking awesome name for a weapon. Strength user, as I say, means strength 7 before any blood tithe effects. AP 3 is really good, especially in a world with potentially no armor of contempt. It's it's another rumor that's flying around, is that Armor of Contempt's going away with the new data slate in potentially mid-January, but probably in January at some point. And so especially at damage 2, he's going to blend regular Marines now, because they'll be saving on 6s. He's going to blend regular Marines, which is potentially what the meta is going to shift to, given some of the other rumored changes to Marines with massive points drops, sticky objectives, staying in early doctrines for longer. Is probably going to shift how many people play Marines actively and how many bodies they actually bring. And alongside alongside that, it also ignores invulnerable saves, which is pretty good, especially at AP3 damage 2. So into Marines, people will probably swing back to using Storm Shields, so Blade Guard maybe, or Vanguard Vets are a big favourite, or were a big favourite, and have dropped off in popularity since Armor of Contempt, because the outfit for a Vanguard Vet was a Lightning Claw and a Storm Shield, with like fists or hammers in there as well. Especially if they start getting free equipment, which is another rumour that Marines have, then I would expect to see a lot of Storm Shields about with Armor of Contempt going away, and ignoring that is pretty funny. Obviously, you'll have to chew through an extra point of, or it's very similar to Armor of Contempt, because it still gives them an extra point of save, so yeah, but it means they won't be saving on 4-ups, which is nice. It'll probably be 5-ups on Marines. A Marine with a Storm Shield is a 2-up, 4-up, so 5-ups with no Armor of Contempt. And then finally, the Juggernaut's Bladed Horn. This is fairly standard. The only thing I did notice was, so I was comparing to the Demons Juggernauts as the ones that have rules. Strength 6 rather than Strength 5 is pretty nice. AP2 is the same, damage 1 is the same. Obviously no Malefic, but that's kind of to be expected because it's not a full-on demon fella. And only an additional 3 attacks rather than the additional 4 that Blood Crushers get. So, I mean, it kind of swings and roundabouts, right? Like an extra point of strength is pretty nice. Strength 6 is an alright breakpoint. And not ignoring modifiers is fine. Yeah, I mean, you're not looking to do your big damage with this, are you? Like Coward's Bane is what you're gonna hope to kill big stuff with. So then moving on to his abilities, the Blood Tithe. Obviously the rumours are good, but the jury's kind of out on specifics in terms of how it'll work, how you'll earn points. If it's so basically, what I mean by that is if it's going to be units or if it's going to be models. And exactly what effects you can put up. And if there's units exempt, like Spawn and Jackals have been thrown around for us as like things we could intentionally chuck out to die and like generate points, like individual Spawn. If an individual Spawn generates points, that'd be nice. Jackals presumably are not going to be that hard to kill either, so that is something to keep an eye on. But anyway, we don't have too much in the way of specifics. There's a slew of effects that are all pretty strong, so like auto winning on 6s to hit. I think there's a +1 attack one. There's definitely shortening charges, so +1 to charge, and I think +1 to advance as well. But it'll be interesting to see how. So the +1 to advance and +1 to charge one specifically might be good with him. Just because he's already very fast, and as we'll get on to, he makes the rest of your army very fast as well. So having that +1 to charge in addition to all of the stuff we're about to go into might be potentially very strong. Hilariously, he also has Warp Strike, which I can only assume is the same as the Chaos Space Marine one, which is going to be an inherent Deep Strike. So he can Deep Strike if you really want. I don't think you do really want to Deep Strike, just because of some of his rules that he has. So then Sigil of Corruption, 4-up invuln, fairly standard. He's Lord of Chaos, so you'd expect that. Leading the Charge, Aura. While a friendly World Eater's core unit, not just infantry, all core units, is within 6 inches of this model, each time that unit is selected to make a normal move or advance until the end of the phase, add 2 to the move characteristic of models in that unit. So, +2 to move for core units within 6 inches of Invocatus, who potentially is going to be on a decent sized base because he's on a Juggernaut. So that'll extend the aura quite a way, which is decent. From our leaked points list, the things I would expect to be core because they are now or are rumoured to be. Berserkers, obviously, as our like core unit, you'd expect to be core. The Hellbrutes currently core in the Chaos Space Marine book. We're looking like we're going to keep that, so that would be a nice boost because Hellbrutes are slow as shit at the moment. Terminators likely to remain core as well. They are in the Chaos Space Marine book. There's rumours that the 8-bound, the base 8-bound, not the Exalted, are going to be core, which would be interesting. Because they are also looking like they're going to have a possessed type stat line, so a 9-inch move, which would be 11 near him, which is very fast, and kind of makes us not necessarily miss the lack of jump pack units. Also to note is Contemptors from Forge World are also core at the moment, which is pretty nice because they are Hellbrutes but faster, and yeah, I do like Contemptors. It's just the CP tax to bring them at the moment that sucks. So that would make what Berserkers movement 8, Hellbrutes movement 8, Terminators movement 7, 8-bound movement 11, and Contemptors movement 10. So already that's pretty fast. Like we consider Possessed relatively fast at the moment. They're move 9, Berserkers moving 8 is nice and fluffy. +2 to move is very versatile. It's probably better than the Canticle of Hate the chaplains have is +2 to charge. +2 to move is way more flexible than that, I think. Yeah, it's just really strong. It has a lot of applications. I think obviously I've focused quite heavily on the turn 1 stuff, or I'm about to focus very heavily on the turn 1 stuff, but the applications go beyond that. I think points about getting out of transports means you basically add 5 to your movement from getting out of transport. Might make transports quite viable. I think the intent of this data sheet is probably to decrease the reliance on transports, just by making you fast enough that you don't need you're only going to take 1 turn shooting, maybe, if that, depending on how you move, where you move into, that kind of thing. So then the final thing, which is kind of a big thing, is that if here's your Warlord and you pay for the Warlord trait. Actually, if this model is your Warlord, it has the following Warlord trait. That doesn't say you have to pay for it, though, right? I don't know. Maybe I'm reading into that. Anyway, so Road of the 8 Bloody Steps. At the start of the first battle round, before the first turn begins, you can select up to 2 friendly World Eaters core units, again, not infantry, just core, within 9 inches of this Warlord. This unit and the selected unit he can make a normal move. I'm going to assume if they're within 6, they get the +2 to this as well, because it's a normal move. The implications for this are pretty funny. You basically spend 1 CP for a Warlord trait that is 2 lots of Apoplectic Frenzy. So it's already more efficient than that. There are more restrictions than Apoplectic Frenzy, but it looks like from our unit roster that we're looking at, you're probably, you would only use Apoplectic Frenzy on core units anyway, because apart from Exalted 8-bound, I'm not sure we're getting any infantry that aren't core. Whereas a favourite of Apoplectic Frenzy has been Talons. They're not core anymore, but yeah, because obviously Frenzy is any infantry unit, not just core. This is core locked, but I think functionally it's going to be the same. The implications for this are pretty nutty. Basically, if you go first, you can have a lot of your army very close to the enemy in turn 1, because if you set up most deployment zones 24 inches apart, whether they're short edge deployment or long edge deployment, the ones with the corners and then the cutout in the middle, they are considerably closer, and on missions like that it will be oppressive is probably the word I'd use. Obviously Abandoned Sanctuaries doesn't work, but we're getting a new mission pack, so that might be going away, hopefully. So most deployment zones 24 inches apart. This Warlord trait, you can move Terminators 14 inches of those 24 if you really want to. You can also move Berserkers and Hellbrutes 16 inches, and you can move Contemptors 20 inches. I've deliberately left out 8-bound there because rumours are that 8-bound are getting a pre-game move built into their datasheet as well, but that's unconfirmed. That's from quite an old leak now, relatively speaking. There's stuff about them being able to arrive from Strat Reserve or Deep Strike turn 1, which maybe, but is instantly makes them far less attractive to me. But if you were to use this on 8-bound, so if they don't get a pre-game move built in, but are core, you can move them 22 inches pre-game, which puts you 2 inches away from their deployment zone. Which means a lot of the time you'll be able to declare a charge on most things in their deployment zone if you move straight across at them. That's obviously focusing on the offensive applications. If you go first, then it's really powerful because it's reminiscent of apoplectic frenzy usage back in the day. So pre our 9th book, just because that was a very good way of winning games. Was just go first and throw 3 squads of Warp Talons across the table at people. Our stuff is obviously a lot killier now than old Warp Talons, with their, I guess, 4 or 5 attacks each they used to have. Our stuff is a lot killier than that now, I think. And also sounds like there's going to be a lot of damage 2 around rather than just damage 1. Obviously, also, you get to move this guy up with them, and he is no slouch in combat either. Throwing him at a very specific character, especially if we keep something like Skulls for the Skull Throne, and saying, nope, you can't use your invulns, is pretty strong, especially turn 1. Because he'll go 12 pre-game move and then 12 in his normal move, which is 24 inches, which puts him in the enemy deployment zone before he charges. So, yeah, I think if you're using it, if you're planning to use it on stuff that's slower than 8-bound, so anything else pretty much, so Berserkers, Hellbrutes, Terminators, you can make turn 1 charges, but you're only moving 16, so you're probably making an 8-inch charge at the shortest, which is not something that I personally would rely on. I tend to rely on like 6 or 7 as much as I can. Obviously, it is a big play, and it could swing a game quite a lot if you make an 8-inch charge with a max squad of Berserkers potentially in turn 1 and pin people into their deployment zones, that kind of thing. Obviously it'll be useful for getting if you don't go first, there is still significant value to this Warlord trait because I think it acts as a very powerful redeploy, not a full redeploy, but stuff moving that fast before the game starts can either like jump you onto objectives, like in No Man's Land, while hopefully staying out of charge range of counter charges. It can jump you into more favourable terrain positions if you're against shooty armies, which might be the meta going forwards. If we get shooty Marines, if we get Guard, and we get Votan all coming out fully in the near future, I think that could be a meta that we're staring down the barrel of. Also, by the sounds of it, Tau didn't necessarily get hit too hard with the slate and the points from various rumours that are around. I think we're going to do another video just rounding up the rumours we've got for the data slates and then also the rumours we've got for the World Eaters Codex at some point. So there are applications even if you don't go first. And I think this Warlord trait is definitely something to build an army around. There's been people speculating about like fast Hellbrutes, fast Contemptors. Contemptors are a weird one for me just because of Martial Legacy, especially if we're staying at 6 CP, which I believe we are going into the new season. Hellbrutes, I mean, they just feel like worse Contemptors, and for that reason I generally don't go for them. They can hit some nice breakpoints so I think Power Scourge with World Eaters probably get some strength 8, 6, 7... Yeah, I get some strength 8, which is nice breakpoint is Marines, and I think it's damage 2, which is great at killing Marines. It's just slow. It's just slow and not that hard to kill. And I think if you want to maximize your use of this Warlord trait, it's fast stuff, right? Stuff that's already fast, getting much faster. Just making stuff charges or movement more reliable, I think. The other thing was this Warlord trait potentially boots Angron out of some comp lists if he has something in his datasheet that says he has to be a Warlord. Previously, we thought it was going to boot him out of comp lists just because you would have to take Angron as Supreme Command, and if you're in a Supreme Command, it has to be a Warlord, which would mean Angron is your Warlord. And there are rumours of only one Warlord trait that you take on your Warlord, and that's it. No strats to give anyone else extra Warlord traits or anything like that. So that was the thinking. That was why we thought you'd have to choose between Invocatus and Angron. Actually, with the new Arcs of Omen detachment system, if you haven't seen that, check out the Warcom article. It's quite interesting and flexible, and it basically means that you wouldn't have to take Angron as Supreme Command. I think you could probably take it as part of your Arcs of Omen detachment. And therefore wouldn't have to make him your Warlord unless he has something in his datasheet that says he has to be a Warlord, which would kind of be a bit surprising. So basically, the long and the short, we might be able to take both and still have Invocatus as the Warlord, which would be great because I do want to try. I want to try and make Angron work. Stuff I've seen suggests he's probably not going to be that competitive, but I'm holding off judgment because I've only really seen his stat line and his weapons. So there is no need to panic yet, I don't think. Overall, I think he's pushed as hell. The rumoured points leak, which is quite old and fuzzy at this point, has him at 160 points, which is disgusting for these rules in this stat line. So basically, you could get all of this for 160 points on 1 CP for a Warlord trait, assuming you still have to pay for Warlord traits. Oh, the first Warlord trait. Yeah, as a point of comparison, the Demon Skullmaster, so the fella on the Juggernaut for demons, is 130 points, and for that you get a wound reroll aura and an exploding sixes for Bloodletter's core, which is basically all of the Bloodletters units. But that's not good. That's not like this. However, on the other side of that, someone's pointed out that the Imperial Guard Lord Solar Horseboy is 170 points. And he gets a lot of rules as well, so it potentially points to design decisions about how they're pointing characters, how much power they're concentrating in characters, how many characters you are supposed to take in a list, that kind of thing. So it'll be interesting to see going forwards with it's only the other chapters for the Loyalist Space Marines to come out, so it'll be interesting to see how some of their books are designed, even though they are only supplements, probably. And then into 10th is rumoured July, August, I guess. So into 10th, if this carries on as a trend. And that segues nicely onto some interesting notes on design choices. Obviously, we've had rumours about vastly reduced Warlord traits and relic options, and only having the option to take one of each, and what this might mean for 10th. What this might suggest, and it's kind of like half a tinfoil hat theory for me, is that although they'll be reduced, they'll concentrate a lot more power into the few that exist, just because I think this is an incredibly powerful trait. Obviously, it's more, as I said, more powerful if you're going first, in my opinion, but the defensive value is not to be overlooked as well. You can, as I say, the redeploys is something we've not really had before as a World Eater. I mean, you could use Frenzy as a redeploy, but it's a bit more limited, I think. Whereas this being just a normal move rather than a normal move limited up to 9. This also doesn't have the normal rider of you have to end the move 9 inches away from enemy units, which I've just noticed. So that means the problem with Frenzy was that it could be blocked quite easily by forward deploys. So Infiltrators, Incursors, Eldar Rangers was another one that did it. To me, that won't work anymore. Or not really. They'll still be able to move block you if they spread out enough, but no, it's this is a vast improvement, and it's obviously at the moment we think only 1 CP as opposed to, for the same effect, having to use 2 for Apoplectic Frenzy. We are in the context of the Codex. If we do keep Apoplectic Frenzy, then that's another infantry unit, or in some incarnation, then that's another unit that we can move forward with Invocatus. 2 more units here, and then potentially 3 units of 8 bound. So that's 6, maybe 7 units of infantry. Not that far away from your opponent's deployment zone, turn 1. I'm not sure about the playstyle. I'm not sure I will necessarily enjoy it, because I think that it incentivizes sort of death balling and you just having everything in it in his aura, and then just sledgehammer one part of the line, like one flank or the center of the board, depending on the mission. Similar to what I'm doing now with Abaddon and the Terminators and the Priest, but in what feels like a far less interactive way, which I'm not sure about. Yeah, I think I have some thoughts on the World Eater Codex in general, how it looks like it's shaping up, but I'll save that for another time. Yeah. Okay. So I hope everyone's enjoyed having a look through. Maybe I've picked up some stuff that other people haven't. If I've missed anything, please let me know. I'm always keen to theorize about what lists might look like going into the new book. In an abstract way, I'm not writing army lists. Please don't write army lists. We don't have confirmation on virtually any of this. Please don't write army lists and send them to me. Send them to Dara instead. He really likes reading them. So if you DM Dara specifically army lists, he will really appreciate that. Yeah. So this is a slightly different video to the ones I normally make. Obviously, I've had a week off from Whack Weekly just because there's been no events. I will resume that in the new year when there are some events. And I've got a couple of other things coming out about my 2022 in a review and what I'm looking at in terms of hobby goals for 2023, how I've gone about setting those goals, that kind of thing. Those should be coming out soonish, TM. So most importantly, stay healthy, stay safe, and kill main burn.